Today, we're talking about the Sony PlayStation 3. Anytime I think about PlayStation 3, the first thought is always like the Xbox 360. And the reason why is because those two consoles were pretty much going head to head in its own console generation. And it all started off with the original Xbox versus the PlayStation 2. You know, even though the Xbox was more superior, PS2, they had a lot of really great exclusive titles like the Final Fantasy series, to name a few. So, you know, the Xbox is coming out with their 360 first. When I think about getting which system, you know, between the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360, I always thought to myself as the little kid from back in the old 16-bit era days. See, Sega and Nintendo were going head to head at that time. And Sega was the first out the gate with its 16-bit system, the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, depending on which region you were living in. And that was succeeded by the Super Nintendo, which turned out to be the better system. Then Sega came out again with like the Dreamcast. And that was like the first like major console to push out like really great arcade graphics. But a few months later, the PlayStation 2 came out, which was even more powerful and offered a DVD drive. So having that mindset, I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna, you know, skip on the 360 and I'm gonna wait on the PlayStation 3. We saw this weird, you know, boomerang looking controller, and then you got the console itself, which looked like a George Foreman grill. It had a Blu-ray drive. And then on top of that, it can play PS1 and PS2 games. And it had a hard drive in it, which was like, if you were to spend a little bit more, you'll get yourself the 60 gig hard drive. Then there was that price, $599 for that PS3. And as awesome as that thing looked and all the great features that it had, it just rubbed me the wrong way. There was no way I was gonna pay that much for a game console. And I ended up getting a 360. And I do like the 360, and I will talk about it in a future video, but as much as I liked my 360, I noticed my friends with the PlayStation 3s being able to play like their old games and whatnot, and seeing new ones like Killzone 2 or Metal Gear Solid 4, I was like, I gotta have this system. I ended up buying one off my friend because he was going to get the slim version of the PlayStation 3. He didn't like the whole George Foreman grill aesthetic of it, and I was fine with it. Couple years later though, the system ended up getting the yellow light of death. So I had to pick up a new system. And I ended up getting like the super slim model, which I'm not really a fan of that tray, but during the times that I did get a chance to play the PS3, I really did enjoy the games. Killzone 2, Killzone 3 were amazing on it. I love the Ratchet and Clank series. Operation Raccoon City was probably the closest they had to like a Left 4 Dead style game. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, amazing game. One I still play to this day. If you were to boot up a PlayStation 3 now and try to play online with some of these games, they will work. The Call of Duty games are still active and it's free to play. You don't have to pay some kind of subscription service to play online. This particular PlayStation 3 I got at a school. There was a classroom that I went into. They had a bunch of like game systems there, and then they had this PlayStation 3 just sitting, you know, all its loadsome on a desk. I walk up to it. I notice it has the 4 USBs in the front, and then this dust cover opens up to reveal the other memory card options on here. And I said to myself, this is the original Fat Boy PlayStation. I gotta get my hands on this thing. So I walked up to the teacher and I said, you know, I'd like to take it home. Does it work? They didn't know if it worked or not because they didn't have all the connections for it. I did. So I went ahead and I said, I'll take it off your hands, you know, name your price. And they said, just take the thing. So I did. I took it home. The first thing I did was I took black on PS2, put in the disc, fired right up. I was a happy camper. I figured to myself, if the original Xbox is amazing when it's soft modded, I wonder what I can do with this PlayStation 3. So I looked online. There's so many really great in-depth tutorials that you can find all over YouTube on how to actually soft mod your PlayStation 3. And on top of that, there's an actual app that you can download, and it'll have a list of all the games that are still being posted on their servers. And you can download these games and then file transfer protocol, or FTP, onto your PlayStation 3, install them, and boom, you got yourself an instant library of great PlayStation 3 titles. Now, I knew that this thing only had a 60 gig hard drive in it. I got myself a 1 terabyte SSD and popped it into the PlayStation 3, and it fired right up. I didn't have to do anything else with it. I thought that was amazing. I thought that was just simply amazing. I loved it. As you can see, I'm just excited just thinking about it, because all the games I downloaded onto it were just awesome titles. And not only could I play a bunch of PlayStation 3 games, I can go back and play all my PlayStation 2 games. So I loaded a bunch of great PlayStation 2 titles on here, and PlayStation 1 as well, because there are so many great classics on the PS1 that I just want to, you know, play through again. Games like Metal Gear Solid or Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I mean, these are great games that have just become immortal classics. No matter what generation you're in, these are the games that you're gonna wanna go back to and play. Having PS3 games, PS2 and PS1 games, just having games ready on the hard drive is so much better for your PlayStation 3, because eventually you're gonna come across some disk drive error or some, you know, mechanical drive failure. It's bound to happen. I've had it happen with a couple PS3s that I've owned before. They just stop working. And sometimes they'll load the game, but sometimes it won't. So having an upgraded hard drive on a modded console is definitely the best way to go. I look at all the newer titles that are coming out, and you know, I see games on the PS5 and you know, the Xbox Series X, and yes, they look graphically superior, but there's that charm that the PS3 or even the 360 just has with their titles that just hasn't really been duplicated. I really can't put my finger on it, but there's just that overall great experience that I had playing these classic systems. It doesn't matter what era you live in, you know, what generation you grew up in. It's never too late to revisit some of these games, some of these classic games. I urge you guys, you Apex Legends players, your League of Legends players, your Fortnite players, I urge you guys, take a break from those games for a minute. Come check out some of these older titles here. Come check out the OG Contra on NES. Check out the BioShock series that came out on the 360 and PS3. Definitely check out the Killzone series, or check out the Uncharted series or The Last of Us. You know, there are some really great games that are just waiting for you. All you gotta do is just open your mind and check them out. You know? Until next time, be true, be you.